Hello everyone and welcome to our next pre-recorded lesson for CEM Block 6 Year 5, and we're going to be focusing on the content from Lesson 3. So if you're unable to access the live lessons, this hopefully is the video for you and you can watch it through, pause it any time and work through those individual sections. Let's have a look at the slides. And you can see there, that's the book that we're going to be referring to predominantly through this lesson. So it's that very thick practice test papers book, the Let's book for CEM, and we'll go through what multiple choice sheet you'll need to extract in order to use that for this lesson. But before we do that, let's just have a little look at the lesson plan, just so we're clear about what we're going to be covering off. So we are going to actually start with the spelling test in a moment, but just to mention what we're going to be covering in the main part of the lesson, we are going to be looking at closed passages. We're also going to be focusing on grammar and spelling and also looking at antonyms as well. So we've got quite a lot to cover off, and we'll also talk about what's required in terms of completing your homework, and we'll also just go through now to start with our spellings. So we're going to start with a spelling test, and this is all based on word families this week, or really looking at root words and obviously what words can be made from those. So I'm just going to bring Billy up in the bottom corner just so it's easier then for you to follow through. Let me just go through and put Billy up just so it's easy for you to concentrate, and then I'm going to read out those words and would ask you to write them down in your spelling books, and hopefully you've learnt them for this week and you also know the definitions of these words as well. So here we go. Number 1, we'd like you to write the word assist. Assist. So it's very important we know the meaning. So of course assist means to help. Write the word assist. Number 2, we'd like you to write the word assistant. Assistant. Number 3, assistance, to give assistance. Number 4, I'd like you to write the word public. Public. So to be in a public place rather than a private place, but a public. And there's lots of words that we can make from public, so public being the root word. And the next word we'd like you to try and write down is publication. Publication. So a book might be described as a publication. Number 6 is publicity. In order to promote the book, we need to have some publicity. Number 7, would like you to write the word obey. Obey. Number 8, disobey. Disobey. So not following the rules. Number 9, disobedient. Disobedient. Number 10, examine. Examine. Now, as you've probably noticed, there's now 12 words that we want you to concentrate on in this block. And the 11th word is examination. Examination. The 12th word is examiner. 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 So well done if you've managed to learn those words and you've spelt them correctly. What I'm going to do now is reveal those words. So if you do want to pause it just because you just want to double check, then you can, but I am going to now show you what those words were. So there we are. We've got 12 words. We've got assist, assistance, assist, assistant, assistance, public, publication, publicity, obey, disobey, disobedient, examine, examination, and examiner. So what you can do is you can go down through and give them a tick if you've got them correct. If you haven't, there is a little section underneath which I'll reveal in a minute which says words to learn, and that's where you may write down, if you didn't quite get 12 out of 12, those words that you need to concentrate on. Brilliant. let's move on now to our main part of our lesson, but we are going to talk about the sheet that we need. So let me just show you this slide. This is obviously really important. Before we begin, please find and remove this multiple choice sheet from your book. It should say, and this is the way of you checking that you've got the right sheet, Test A Paper 2, and that should be written at the top, and also Get Started. So it's really important that you make sure you have the right sheet, so you'll be able to mark the answers down on here. And this is really what we want you practicing during this block, is transferring the answers onto a separate sheet. And we are going to be focusing on the close part of this sheet, which is down in the bottom corner here, and it'll be on pages 31 to 33. So let's go to see that part of that multiple choice sheet again. So as you can see here, it's on pages 31 and 33 in your actual book, and this is the top right part of your answer sheet, and this is the bottom left corner of your answer sheet. So hopefully you'll be able to see where it says close. This is what we're going to start with. So the Get Started Test A Paper 2, we need to be on page 31. Now, we've gone through these instructions already in lesson 1, but just a reminder, when you see these arrows, you'll be needing to continue to work, so continue turning the pages so you know to carry on. But when you see this sign, that means to stop and wait for further instructions. So there will be an audio that we'll use in our live lesson, so you'll be able to access this. We've also sent you a link for those audios on the Let's website, so if you do want to use that at home, you're more than welcome to if you're not joining our live lesson. So the first section is a close passage, and we're going to be having 10 minutes, and there's going to be 20 questions. It's actually split into 2 separate extracts that we're going to be doing, one on vitamin D and one on the Battle of Hastings. But before we jump into the actual questions, shall we just have a look at the example? So what do we need to do? Well, we've got to read the sentences below and select the most appropriate word from the table. Now, they've just given you one sentence, but of course you'll have a series of sentences. But the words that we need to choose from are going to be at the top. So we've got the skillful chess player easily something his opponent. Well, the answer to that question is defeated. So we would need to put an A in there. And on your multiple choice sheet, you would mark it down as A. Now this example has actually already been done for you. Here we are. It's been marked as A already. But you will need to do practice question 1. So let's just quickly do that one. Read the sentence below and select the most appropriate word from the table. The sun was something and there was not a single cloud in the sky. Well, the answer to that is shining. The sun was shining and there was not a single cloud in the sky. So on your multiple choice sheet, we would ask you please to mark down E. So really clearly with a horizontal line through E, and making that very clear that that is practice question 1. You don't receive any marks for that, but it makes sure that you've marked it down as the practice question and not thought that it's question 1, because question 1 of course is here. So we're now going to have a little look at the first passage. Now the answers are filled in for you here, so if you haven't done it yet, we would ask you to put the 10-minute timer on. Time yourself for 10 minutes to work through 20 questions, which I think is ample time. So that's 30 seconds a question, and you can now time yourself. So if you do want to pause the video, grab yourself a stopwatch or a way of timing yourself for 10 minutes, and then you can work down through those 20 questions. Okay, hopefully you've been able to do that, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go through the answers with you. Now this is all about vitamin D, and I'm going to read it through to you now, and then what we're going to do is we're actually going to be eliminating the words that we've used, and this will be clear then on if we've got any words left, that we've made sure we've chosen the right words, and that by limiting your choices, because you're only going to use each word once in the passage. So vitamin D is something for maintaining healthy. Now, it is essential for maintaining healthy and something teeth and bones. Well, your teeth and bones, as you know, you need to make sure that we have vitamin D to make sure that they are strong. So we can eliminate C. So again, I'm limiting my choices for future words as well. Luckily, vitamin D can be by the body. Now, what can it be by the body? We'll have a look at the options that you've got up there, and you might have noticed that it was absorbed by the body. Absorbed by the body directly from sunlight. So again, cross out the word that we've used. On a clear summer's day, something amounts of vitamin D can be produced by the body if you spend. Now, on a clear summer's day, something amounts. So we need something that describes the number. So not minutes found. Here we are, adequate. The adequate amount of vitamin D can be produced by the body if you spend just 10 something per day outside. So what word can follow 10? 10 minutes, yeah, that's probably right. We'll just double check. Found, 10 found, no, 10 deficiency, 10 pills, but it's saying that this is the amount of time that you spend outside, so it's going to be minutes. Therefore, many people suffer from a vitamin D something in winter. So the word we're looking for here is a lack of vitamin D, and the word is deficiency. It means a lack of. This can cause their bones to become something and can also trigger mental illnesses such as depression. And we're describing how the bones can be, and they can become brittle. Fortunately, vitamin D can also be something naturally in certain foods such as butter and eggs. So B is found naturally in certain foods such as butter and eggs. Some people also take something and supplements to boost their vitamin D levels, and the word there is pills. So we've used all of the words. There's no words that are superfluous. We've added them all in, and you can see that once we've used them, we wouldn't use them again in the passage, which I think is important to mention. So well done if you got all 10 there. So obviously you can go down and you can check, but you should have been putting these letters directly onto your multiple choice sheet. So just going back, the first one was F. So if we went to the multiple choice sheet, you can see we've got the options from A to J from the words at the top, and we would need to select F for question 1. Let's go back now and have a look at the second part. So hopefully you've been able to do both parts of the closed passage. I have got a link there if you want to watch anything about the Battle of Hastings. So let's just read through the Battle of Hastings here. The Battle of Hastings was something in 1066 between the Norman. Now, the Battle of Hastings is obviously between two countries. It was actually between England and France. So they were fighting. So we need a word that's like fight, and it's fought. So past tense. So we've got the Battle of Hastings was fought in 1066 between the Norman something, and it's the Norman army of William the Conqueror and an English army led by King Harold Godwinson. So, historians something that 15,000 soldiers took part in the battle. Now, 15,000 is obviously probably a number that has been rounded. So this is more like a guess really, but you're trying to be reasonably accurate, but it's really an estimation. So let's have a look. Is there a word that's... Yeah, there we are. We've got estimate. The two something attacked each other from the two forces attacked each other from something until evening. What comes before evening? Of course, morning. So morning until evening. Finally, Harold was struck with and killed by an arrow, and the English began to flee. So leave. Okay. William was something king later. He was crowned king later that year and ruled over England until his something in 1087, his death. The Battle of Hastings was a something turning point in English history. It was you wouldn't say attempts, it was a significant turning point in English history, despite many, now we've only got one word left, so we do hope that this makes sense in here. Despite many attempts, no foreign army ever successfully managed to invade England after 1066. Now, as you work down through closed passages, if there's ever one that you can't do, what we would suggest is you leave it, move on, and it may well be that you need to go back to that one later, but because you've been eliminating your words, you'll obviously be limiting the choices that you've got to choose from. So don't spend too long on one particular space, otherwise you may lose time elsewhere. Well done if you've managed to get all of those correct. We're now going to move on to the next section. We're going to have a look at what we've got to do next, and that's going to be based on grammar and spelling. So grammar and spelling. Now this is actually on the reverse of the multiple choice sheet, Test A, Paper 2. So we'd ask you to turn that one over, and then we'll be able to go through and have a look at the answers. So with this particular section, you've got 5 minutes. There are only 8 questions. So again, we would suggest you time yourself for 5 minutes. If you're in our live sessions, we will play the audio just so you can hear those instructions clearly. But for the purposes of this video, we'd ask you to time yourself for 5 minutes and just do the grammar and spelling sections and do 8 questions. There's only 8 questions here. Example 1, that has been marked down on your multiple choice sheet as A. So identify a homophone of the word night from the words below. So of course it's night as in knight in shining armour rather than night and day. You can apply elimination again if you want to cross out the ones that you know are wrong. But if you see that answer quickly and you're really sure, then you can just mark it straight onto your multiple choice sheet. Practice question 1, and we'll do that one. Select the correct prefix to give the opposite of the word believable. Is it unbelievable, 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 misbelievable, or pro-believable? So the right prefix to go in front will be unbelievable. So it'll be UN, so it'll be B. If we go back to our multiple choice sheet, we will need to mark practice question 1 as B. And then what you'll be able to do is work down through those 8 questions and mark those all off. So pause the video at this stage, time yourself for 5 minutes, and then once you've done, if you want to check them straight away, you can have a look down through the answers I'm going to reveal. So let's have a little look at the answers. Identify a homophone of the word faint from the words below. So there we are. There's the homophone, faint. What type of word is slowly? Of course, it's an adverb. Lots of adverbs, of course, end with ly. So that's going to describe the verb. Question 3, select the correct prefix to give the opposite of the word agreeable. Well, that will be disagreeable. So again, as you go down through, if you've got them right, give them a tick. Then we've got question 4, select the word below that is misspelt. So having a little careful look at all of the words, you may have noticed that this is how you spell frozen. It obviously doesn't have the PH. It's an F instead. So again, well done if you got that one right. Let's have a look at the next one. Question 5, we've got resourceful is the word that is spelled incorrectly. And I'm just going to spell out resourceful correctly for you so you can see the right spelling. And if you want to add it to your word and meaning book, if you didn't know the right spelling, then you can. So the answer was B. Question 6, select the word below that is misspelt, and the word is calendar. It's only a very subtle difference between the word that we've got there, and the only letter that we need to adjust is it's AR, not ER. So hopefully you were able to get that one right. And then we've got grateful. We don't spell grateful like that. We spell grateful like this. So GRATEFUL. And it does only have one L, so you just need to be careful if you ever use that word that you just put one L on the end. But the word you need to identify that was misspelled was B. Question 8, very common word that a lot of even adults sometimes get wrong, is separate. And I always think of the R as separating out the two A's. There's also a rat in there just to help you with your spelling pattern. But you can see here they've got an E. You've got a second E there, and that needs to be replaced by an A. So hopefully you were able to spell separate, or spot that separate was spelled incorrectly. You don't actually need to spell it out, but you just need to find and identify it. So that's the 8 questions that you had within your spelling and grammar section. So we're now going to move on, and we're going to be having a look at the antonyms section. Now this is the opposites, and these are on pages 41 and 43, and then the multiple choice sheet, you are on the reverse of that. So again, just as a reminder, you need to be on Test A, Paper 2, and it's the Get Started, and on the back of this sheet you will hopefully be able to spot that you've got the antonyms section. Okay, let's have a look at what we've got to do with the antonyms. So the antonyms you will find on page 41, and you're looking for one word that is the opposite to the word that you've got at the top. So example 1 here, we've got hot and cold. That's been demarcated already as B. But you need to mark down practice question 1, and what's the opposite of below? These are always a lot easier, aren't they? Above. So if we go to our sheet, we need to mark that down, practice question 1, as D. Now, again, if you could time yourselves for 5 minutes and do 15 questions, what you will generally hear when you're actually doing time sections is you will hear a halfway reminder. So after 2.5 minutes, for example, get someone just to say you should be halfway, and that should mean you should be around question 7 or 8. And that just helps you understand if you're working at a good pace. Right, we're going to reveal now what those words are. And we've got after and before, handsome and ugly, winner and loser, insult and compliment, allow and forbid, lack and abundance, abundance meaning a lot of something, junior and senior, kind and cruel, narrow and broad, broad meaning to be wide, always and never, simple and complicated, complicated being hard or challenging, careful and careless, general and particular, peace and war, and artificial and natural. So we've got 15 questions there that hopefully you were able to go down through and check. Now, just also a little reminder about your spellings for your next lesson. Please do learn test 2 words, and those are homophones. So please do go down through those. And just reference to your the homework that you need to be doing for from lesson 3 and 4. You're going to need to focus on week 2's on the verbal reasoning and the non-verbal. There will be videos that will go through all those tests for you, and you'll be able to check those at home. So first of all, thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you found it useful. We obviously hope you can join us in our live lessons, but if not, I hope you found that useful to work down through those different exercises, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.